Gruesome Magazine.
Hello once again. I'm your host, Doc Rodden, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, Christopher G. Mohr, and myself will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. How do you like it? All right, tonight we're reviewing the movie Elevator Game, streaming now on Shudder. This is going to be a lot of fun. Let me introduce my crew, starting off with the one and only Jeff Mohr. How you doing, sir?
Jeff Mohr.
I got this thing running through my brain. 4262101. It's
wow.
It's like
I would never remember that.
Yeah.
Jenny, what? No,
Yeah. I couldn't.
All right.
It's all the better thing is why I don't do it very often.
Also joining this week is Crystal Cleveland, the Living Dead Girl. How you doing?
I'm great. I would never remember that, so I'm glad Jeff did it, because I'd be like, what number do we go to now, Christopher? Do we close our eyes this time?
Close on five. Close on five. All right. Also joining us is award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Mohr. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. Just staring at the big X moon in the sky right before we were recording. So
X moon in the sky.
The red
X moon.
red sky.
Xbox in the sky.
Red sky. All right. Why are we on this musical motif? Why? Because joining us tonight is the one and only Dave.
Hey guys, how you doing? Boy, it's amazing seeing how everyone's
forever.
Everyone's backdrop has changed so much. Myron, Jeff's new
even
backdrop.
yours.
It's amazing. Gone for what? 2 months? Whatever the hell it's been.
2 years.
Forever.
I think it's
Forever.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Hey. We are here to review Elevator Game. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to start off giving you our first impressions. Those first impressions will be spoiler-free, and then we'll get into a discussion about the film. There's some spoilers, and then we'll give our score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene, and then we hope you hit the like, subscribe, and share.
Like,
because those are free and easy to do. You've heard us say this before, so please do it. And every click will help us find more horror fans just like you. That wasn't compelling or sincere, was it? I tried.
It was.
I really tried.
It maybe didn't sound like that, but I know you meant it.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's take a look. Let's move along, shall we? All right, the card. Elevator Game 2023 on Shudder. Available on Shudder and AMC Plus beginning August. No, not August at all. I've got the wrong date. September. That August should be September 18th, 2023. And actually, it should be 14th. What is wrong with me? I don't know, but let's keep going. Sigh. The synopsis is supernatural horror based on the online phenomenon of ritual conducted in an elevator in which players attempted to travel to another dimension using a set of rules that can be found online. Yes. Directed by Rebekah McKendry, written by David Ian McKendry and Travis Seppala, one or the other, maybe something else. The cast includes Megan Best, Adam Hertig, Gino Anania, Madison McIsaac, Verity Marks, Hazel Wallace, Alec Carlos, Bradley Sawatsky, Nazarly Demkowitz.
That's
Nazarly
hey, you're doing
Demkowitz.
great. Keep going. One more.
And Liam Stewart Canigan.
That was pretty good.
It's nice to know some things just don't
I
change.
stumbled over Demkowitz. Why did I stumble over Demkowitz? I don't know, but I did.
You
It's
should
a
have heard
pronunciation game.
The satanic Hispanic.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I may have.
He did good.
If he pronounces them right, then we're all cursed. I'm just saying.
There you go.
Oh my God, next movie. Someone write it.
We just all go up to the 10th floor and we're done. All right, guys, let's get into this. And since Dave is here, let's let him go first. Dave, what was your first impression of
first? Wow. Dang.
Elevator Game?
I didn't hate this movie.
There you go.
It's never a good thing when you start out that way. I actually like Rebekah McKendry as a director. I actually think she's a pretty good director. I loved Glorious. She's got a thing for like confined spaces. You know, we've been in a men's bathroom. Now we're in an elevator. But yeah, this one definitely had some problems, which I think will probably
a lot of ups and downs.
Come out. But it did hold my attention. You know, it's I don't know. I really don't know what to say with it. I don't want to disparage it too much because I don't think it was all bad, but it's what am I trying to say? I'm trying to be kind.
You're doing a good job.
It's all right. Yeah, I liked it. I think as the discussion goes on, I think a lot of us seen a lot of the same issues with this. A lot of it, I think, had to do with the writing. Some of it had to do with some acting in certain scenes. But overall, it was okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Christopher G. Mohr, sir, what was your first impression of Elevator Game?
I think the trailer is more effective than the movie.
Ooh, that sounds like an editing problem.
And I think there's definitely some issues. I think in the very beginning with the dialogue is definitely feels written. It doesn't feel like real characters. And I think when you're trying to and I mean, it's always very hard, I think, especially when you're dealing with like, you know, when you have influencers or people who run, you know, Crystal knows this is somebody who's running like YouTube sites. I mean, I think Deadstream does a really great job of embodying those type of characters. This one just felt like characters for character's sake. And then also you have these teenagers, they all kind of spoke the same. And it almost had like as much as I love Dawson's Creek, you know, Dawson's Creek was known for having characters that were very witty, more witty than most teenagers are. And this feels like that, but at the same time doesn't feel like real dialogue. And I think once we get into the elevator stuff, it gets more interesting, but then I feel like it doesn't take us to the floor of coolness that we want it to take us to. And it doesn't deliver the kind of scares or the elements that I was looking forward to seeing. So I was a little bit disappointed in how everything comes together, because it kind of doesn't even, it kind of throws all the rules out the elevator door by the end, to where it's like, I'm not sure what really is supposed to work or doesn't work. And so, yeah, I think it's kind of a mixed bag. Was kind of disappointing. And I think even the scares, which seem much more creepy and scary in the trailer, once you see those elongated things, it doesn't really work, you know? And then it also feels like it's just taking all those tropish things that we've seen, you know, almost like there's a scene that's almost like embodiment of Stranger Things when the girl floats and starts cracking. And then there's and then the villain's very, you know, Samara from The Ring, and, you know, but it doesn't work as well. And so I think I do appreciate what they're trying to do with this, because we all know that story involving with the hotel, it's the Hotel Cecil, I think, with the girl in the elevator. But it doesn't really deliver on all the things that you would hope to be there. So yeah, this film didn't work exactly how I wanted it to be. And so it was a little bit more disappointment for me, I remember we all saw that trailer like, oh man, this looks really great. And then the movie doesn't deliver on what the trailer sort of sold.
I like that. That's a good description of it. Jeff Mohr, sir, what was your first impression of Elevator Game?
Well, I'm a little puzzled with myself, because I think I saw all the flaws that I've heard other people mention, but yet it affected me. So I think I may have an undiscovered elevator phobia.
They exist.
I had some goosebumps going on, where afterwards I'm like going, oh, why did that bother me? That wasn't that. So anyway, I like the concept. I like I felt like it took a half hour, 45 minutes before it sort of kicked into gear. Up to that, it was a little painful for me, but once they got a little more directly involved with the elevator, and some stuff happens, and I like it. So I don't know, I enjoyed it. It's got flaws, creep me out in places, and that's about all. I do like her movies, although I notice I've missed one, but Glorious was excellent. Yeah. So
yes indeed. Crystal, what was your first impression of Elevator Game?
So I loved Glorious too. I didn't love this one as like I liked Glorious, like I loved Glorious, but I think that mainly lies in the story. I agree completely with Christopher about the dialogue not being natural at all. I feel like apparently these young adults or kids just graduated, or it was like a month after they graduated or something, and they're just the way that they're talking and interacting, and yet they're acting like they're so mature and like beyond this, and then yet they're actively picking on some guy for being weird or creepy. It's just that was a very odd thing to me. I couldn't decide whether they were children or they were grown adults because I never talked like that when I was that age. If they're children, they're fine, they're children. But until they're 30, they're probably not going to be very mature or responsible, honestly. I liked the concept of this elevator game. I've heard actually of this elevator game. I think Evil, this show, actually they did do an episode where they did something similar to this.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's a thing. I don't know if it's the same floors, and I don't know if it's the same creature or concept, but there is that thing out there. I'm like, well, there's a lot I liked about it too. I feel like I'm being nitpicky about some of this, but some of it is just, it just didn't hit right. I see where they were trying to go with it. It just didn't really work for me. I didn't believe any of the characters, and I guess that's good. I guess it's good that you didn't feel for any of the characters, honestly, considering I felt like the creature or wraith, she'd be like a wraith since she was like a I don't want to give anything away, was kind of everything we've seen before. You know, I mentioned before, I just hate the backbends. I don't really understand trying to be creepy for creepy's sake, and that just sometimes simple is better. That's all. I didn't dislike it. I was entertained. So there's that. I did like the Red Realm. I did like the Red X. Okay, I did. Because immediately as soon as you saw it, you knew he was in a different place and it made sense and it was like empty. And I didn't hate that. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I know y'all can haul on me because I get it. But
well, it also had it was in the story too. I mean,
yeah, and it made sense. Yeah, it made sense. And then they give you the backstory. So I mean, it was kind of fleshed out. It just didn't hit right with me. Did someone say that actually before? Because that doesn't sound like something I'd say. But
no, but I might.
But that's how I feel. I might. But that's how I feel.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the same thing. It didn't quite work 100% for me. But at the same time, I was entertained. I enjoyed watching it. But I did feel like the reach doesn't quite. I don't know. I'm going to screw up the saying, but it doesn't quite go where it wants to go. It doesn't quite make it. Falls a little short, and I think that's the disappointing part that Christopher was talking about. For me, I mean, I like the characters well enough. I mean, it made sense what they were up to and everything, and and their interactions with each other. I agree with you, Crystal, that I didn't believe that they were kids, but at the same time, that's not new in a movie like this. So I wasn't like thrown off by that. It was kind of like par for course. For me, some of the choices didn't really add up, even though the choices made sense. Like, the red, when they used the red lighting, it made sense, but not entirely. There was, because they lost contrast, it kind of was for me, the red washed everything out instead of provided, there was no depth. The characters were just as red as the background, and this was like in a close-up. So I didn't like that. And the scares always felt like they pulled their punch. And I think somebody said earlier, maybe it was before, that maybe who's the audience for this? What's the target audience? Because it's not the seasoned horror fan, even though it might be intended for the seasoned horror fan. The seasoned horror fan is going to not enjoy this, but newer horror fans, I think, would find a lot going for this.
Or teenagers.
Yeah.
It felt like PG-13.
Yeah, I feel like it's for younger.
Yeah. But like the three main characters that are at the end, I really enjoyed those three characters. And the one guy had some of the best delivery of those bad lines that Christopher they had. Like you can't call the police on a ghost, Chloe. So that the way he delivered it, I thought was great. So I think that there's potential.
But that argument sounds ridiculous.
But it was great in the
I would absolutely call the police, regardless of whether it's a ghost or not, and let the police figure it out. Give me come on.
Yep.
Oh no, don't call the police.
It's a great line though. It's a great line. But
Dude.
Some of the special effects kind of felt like it kind of betrayed the budget. You know what I mean? Christopher, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first guy that gets killed, Stranger Things style.
Let's get into spoilers.
The editing of that was very off. I think they were trying to pull off this whole thing, but it didn't really work.
The twisting of the head, like
it was very awkward.
Okay, so oddly enough, though, the look on his face is actually what worked for me.
That may be true.
And it was.
The look is fine, but I think the way it was executed wasn't really executed that well, at least in my opinion. But maybe it worked for other people. There's other things I think. Granted, you have that, but then you have, I think the whole initial thing where they're going in the elevator, I think is very atmospheric and works. And there's other things involving the elevators that really work and how it's edited and stuff. But then, although I will say, Crystal, as someone that plays video games, I will say when he walks out in that red room and there's a big X in the sky, I kept thinking Xbox.
No,
Three rings of death.
It does look like it, yeah.
Because there's a three red rings of death that used to happen to your Xbox when your Xbox was broken, and I felt like I was inside the Xbox, a broken Xbox. But
you got that. That was it, guys. That was the end of your Xbox. Like there was that was back.
It. So I kept thinking that would have been funny if that it involved a broken Xbox. But
can you imagine?
Somebody takes the cartridge out at the end of the movie.
And I think again, they were working within the strengths of the budget, because they did the same thing with the Glorious with some of the stuff they pulled off of that. But there was parts of it where it got to the kills and stuff to where they tried to be atmospheric and kind of visually interesting, because there's one part where she's on the computer and you see like the red light and the stretching hands, and they do some really cool stuff with shadows that work. But then other things kind of, even the kill around the salt circle was like very not really shot that well, or wasn't really effective for what they were trying to pull off. I will say I do love this is not a kill part, but I do like the part where he's trying to get salt and he runs in that restaurant.
Actually, that was really funny.
I love that scene because I was like, okay,
the maitre d' doesn't know what to do with it.
And he's already crazy. He's like talking to himself, and that
do
whole
you have anything
whole
coarser?
We've
been sitting in a bus stop for hours waiting for a bus that never comes.
Yeah, so I would say we were like criticizing like some of the dialogue and stuff, but that segment I hadn't really seen in the horror film before, where they're trying to just go anywhere to find salt, and I love that whole bit. Was kind of redeemed parts of the film that I didn't like. That really
that was the actor I liked the most too.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. He was entertaining, and I think. But again, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the characters are very, very middle ground. When it came to interaction stuff, even the guy's daughter, his sister was gone or whatever. He was very monotone through a lot of it, and some of that. And I think because of that, the monotoneness of like a lot of these characters that didn't really pull me in for what the type of story they're trying to. Because if you have, again, when you have people that are in danger, do you care about these characters getting sucked in or ripped apart, by this crazy girl, with back problems.
Am I the only one that was a little like underwhelmed by the makeup on her as well?
No, that's what I was saying. Like, it wasn't.
Well, and I think it's one of those things to where if you only see bits and pieces of it, like they show in the trailer, it's very creepy. But then you have these long shots where it feels like it's like almost like it almost felt like her face was like she was wearing a mask of her face, type of thing on her face. And it didn't really work a lot when you looked at it for long periods of time. So it kind of takes you out of it, where it's not as creepy as something you'd see out of the corner of your eye.
Yeah, for me, the level 5 worked better than level 10. Like, it was shot better because they would do the revolving Dutch angle thing.
Rotating.
And and there's one time when the hand was just a shadow coming close to the elevator. So there's some elements of this that are really stand out, and then other elements like
even where it
close up with the mask where it doesn't.
When it shows up on top of the bus station, I mean, there's things where you just see these little snippets, and it's kind of creepy and scary. But then for longer periods of time, it's like, okay, this doesn't really sell as much as what, like the Jaws level of just showing little bits and pieces.
Yep. All right. Before we head out, Dave, you want to talk about the effects in the monster at all?
But no, actually, Christopher kind of hit the nail on the head when they were talking about, it works much better in the trailer. The long exposure to the makeups just did not hold up. I'm not sure what they were kind of going for there, but it certainly didn't work. And it was one of those situations where less was more.
Yep. Elevator's lights needed to go out a little bit more. All right, let's get into our final thoughts. No, let's don't do that. Let's get into our score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene. Dave.
Yeah, so what can I do for you?
You're up.
I'm just gonna go middle of the road on this one. I'm gonna go like 2.25. I really wanted to like it a lot more than I did. I knew you guys would hit all the stuff that was wrong. I'm not sure if it's writing or acting, or if it's just a little bit of a combination of both. But there was just pieces missing here. But I think Rebekah does a pretty decent job in the director's chair on this. There are moments that are super creepy and work really, really well. We just needed much more of that. Much, much more. So I don't know if it was budget restraints or, hiring friends instead of hiring real actors. I don't know. I have no idea.
They're real actors. I know.
But yeah, I'm going to go 2.25. And I actually, for me, that opening scene when we see the girl, first do the elevator game, that worked really effective for me. I mean, that really kind of made me sit through the rest of the film.
The sister.
So yeah, I really like that, and the way she mixed up the shots, and we'd get the shots from outside the elevator with that like starburst behind her head. I like that, and that made me hang in there for the whole flick. So I'm going to go with that first opening scene.
I'll agree with that. Christopher, go for it.
I think I feel it's very middle of the ground. I'll go a little bit higher. I'll say 2.75 out of 5. I think it's I think it was a little bit disappointed with it, but I could see what they're going for. As for favorite scene, I think I mentioned it earlier. I think when he goes into that restaurant stealing all the salt, and the maitre d' doesn't know what the heck is going on. It's a very, very funny scene, and otherwise not so funny movie, at least not purposely. And I think that scene was really entertaining for me.
I like that. Very good. Jeff, let us have it.
I'm going to go with a 3. I mean, I'm glad I watched it.
Good.
I wasn't sitting here thinking, oh my God, I can't believe I'm watching this, or when is this going to end? And favorite scene, I'm going to take the hand through the throat.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Took my rating and my scene.
Oh,
Okay.
Nice.
Well,
Very good.
I'm kidding. No, Jeff. Take
Think
it.
fast. You're up next.
well, I was going to take another salt one, when the guy kept he went to all this effort to create this salt circle, that the other guy walks in and
Oh,
scrapes his
God.
foot.
I was like,
I know.
dude, why you got
It's
drinking?
like lift your feet. God.
The Crystal. Now you got to think fast. What's your score and your favorite scene?
So one of my pet peeves is like people dragging their feet when they walk.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
there you go.
I cannot stand it. It is like, pick up your feet, you lazy buffoon. That is all. Okay. And so to whoever color graded this film, I feel like I have met someone else who loves vignettes perhaps more than me, because I really do love them. And I just wanted to point that out. But I was going to give it a 3. And so I'm going to give it a 3 because, like I said, I have a lot to pick on about this movie, but I enjoyed it and it was okay. And it was definitely above average. So my favorite scene. So, I mean, I talked about a few things. I did like the X in the sky. I liked the dude's face when they snapped his neck. I do think, okay, so I'm going to defend that scene. I totally get from Christopher's perspective as far as how it was done. I mean, it could be better. Okay. But they showed just a little bit of everything. But this creepy look, I don't know what they did to this dude's face, but he was like it was like this blank, weird look, almost, maybe it was a mask, I don't know, but it totally creeped me. I was like, I don't like that face, I don't like it, and I don't want it. And then yeah, so it was like Deadeye. I don't know, it was kind of spooky to me. There, I don't know, I mean, there's a few others. It's just, it seems like some of the stuff was so quick, there wasn't much to it, you know.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go with 2.75 for me. And my favorite line is going to be about, you can't call police on a ghost. But I'm going to go with the scene that impressed me the most visually, which has very little to do with actual ghosty kind of things, but it's I think I mentioned it earlier, when they go to level 5 or floor 5 and they're supposed to close their eyes, but you get the shot from, toward the elevator doors. And I think you said rotating camera. It looked like it was like going from left Dutch to right Dutch, right? Doing on the angle thing. But at the same time, there was like this hand that was in the shadow that was creeping toward the door. And it just, to me, that energy that was there, could have used a lot more of that. I really like the energy that was in there. I mean, they used it. There was more of it in the film. And I'll agree with Dave that the beginning of the film does sell it enough to really watch the entire thing. And we've talked about levels of acting, but I like the cast. As you know, I'm not going to fault them for maybe dialogue, but I like the cast. Some more than others, granted, but that's true for every film. So I think it's worth a watch when it hits Shudder, definitely, for sure.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. I love the production design of the elevator and the
the whole thing. Yeah.
The whole thing,
Oh,
it's like
that was really pretty.
Yeah, because it looked like they
Yeah.
actually, I'm sure
Like
they created it as a set,
Art
but
Deco.
the way it looked with the almost like wood paneling on the inside of it,
Yep.
the look of that, I think they did a really great job of creating.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. I remember seeing it and going, God, that's really pretty.
And I will say that the one guy that comes on when they only go up to level 9 or floor 9, and he comes on,
That was funny too.
that was really well done. She handles the humor really well, I think. In the film, so. All right.
And the fact that the dude is just like doesn't really care. He's just like,
he doesn't even stop his conversation. He's still good. Like, who are you? You're not supposed to be here. And then he disappears. Like, where does he go? When he leaves the elevator, he's just like totally not in the scene anymore. Anyway, that's our review of Elevator.
yes.
On Shudder. Shudder. Why did I do that? I don't know.
Shudder.
But it's on
Shudder.
Go watch it. Let us know what you think about it in the comments down below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Jeff, Crystal, Christopher, thanks for joining me. Dave, welcome back.
Thank you. Great to be back.
We hope we see much more of you, sir.
Yes.
You don't want to see too much. Trust me.
Well,
Thank you for that, sir.
Stay sitting down.
Yeah, exactly.
Just we'll trigger everybody. Hammer of Zanzibar. Guys, that's a different review. Go check it out. All right, guys, let's get out of this. Say good night.
Right.
Good
Good night,
night.
everybody.
going down.
Nah.
Yes.